Hi, I'm David Fergusson. I'm the CEO of Atlas Consolidated, which owns Hugosave and Hugosave. Run the company now for about 3 years. Prior to that, was an investment banker for longer than I care to admit. 25 years as a banker. I think open banking is probably the most important feature of financial services in Asia over the next 5 years. It's a trend that started in Europe and the United States. It's going to pick up and gain momentum across Asia. I think it provides enormous opportunities for non-traditional sort of financial services players to get into a broader area of finance. It provides opportunities for the banks to engage much more clearly with their competitors, and frankly, it gives impetus to this concept of embedded finance for any non-financial company to get involved. In addition to that, the demographic trends are very, very powerful in Asia. We're seeing huge growth in the middle class, and let's be clear, financial services are a middle class product. When the middle class grows, savings grow, savings rates grow, the overall pool of capital grows. This is an enormous opportunity for the financial services industry. An app is just what you see on the surface, and businesses like ours are like icebergs. I mean, what you see above the waterline is relatively small, but what goes on below the waterline is vast. Below the waterline, we have a full infrastructure that allows us to really build any financial product that you like, and that isn't something that most can do. And so when it comes time to responding to customer needs, responding to trends in the marketplace, responding to what we're hearing from customers, it's that capability that really sets us ahead. In terms of you're making it fun, simple, easy to engage, at this point above the waterline, that's where a lot of art comes in. It's a very, very complex process that we go through that involves speaking to customers, understanding what their needs are. We also see very clearly from the data how they behave, and we can modify our products. We also employ a whole load of what we call relatively new techniques that are built around gamification, the creation of rewards engines within the product that all make it a little bit easier to engage with. Look, financial services, particularly long-term savings products, it's a dry subject. No one wakes up in the morning feeling excited about their long-term pension, right? So with a product like ours, we try and engage people and we try and make the concept of saving fun, engaging, and approachable rather than daunting, frightening, sad, which is really the norm in financial services. So it's a different approach. One of the things that's always interesting about gold is that it preserves its monetary value. So in a world where governments are printing money left, right, and center in order to debase their currency so that they can reduce their debts, right? And they do it to the cost of savers. Gold preserves that value. It's a very easy product to engage with. I mean, one of the things that is very clear is that the sort of 20 to 35-year-old age range, they are much more, frankly, discerning as a consumer as to what they're prepared to put up with in order to become consumers of the company. They're simply not prepared to sit in line at a bank for 4.5 hours in order to open up a bank account. They're just not prepared to do that any longer. And why should they? I mean, they shouldn't be forced to do that. You can become a Hugo customer in, let's say, 200 seconds. I mean, I count it in seconds rather than minutes, and certainly not hours or days or, God forbid, months, which can be the case somewhere else, right? So we make it easy to use. We make it educational. So a lot of people, their eyes, they sort of close over when you start to talk about savings. People are used to being harangued by financial services providers, parents, teachers. You must save, you must save, you must save. It turns people off, right? We make the educational sort of content that we use to engage our customers simple, easy to engage, more importantly, short, so that they don't have to spend hours concentrating on it. It's all part of a convenience process that we've built into the product. A big part of convenience, of course, I'm just going back to the sort of earlier point, the big part of convenience is automating the process. People want to be able to click once, twice, maybe 3 times at most to solve their problems. They don't want to read through forms. They don't want to take sort of long tests. They don't want to have long conversations with humans. They want it click once, click twice, problem solved. And that level of automation that we've built into the product makes it very, very engageable for the consumer. Part of the automation of our systems addresses this stuff. We have a very, very complex flow process of bringing people on board, and we cover off many, many, many different variables of a customer. We check on them with huge sort of detail on the onboarding process. And then on an ongoing basis, there are things that we do that relate to people's behavior. There are things that we do on a sort of just a timeline by timeline basis. There are random sampling processes that we go into, all of which are aimed at making our system as difficult to penetrate by bad actors as humanly possible. Now, what I'll tell you is that the automation is what saves you in this process. Having worked at banks for many, many years, what systems and processes that involve judgment effectively let balls through into the net. We don't follow that sort of process. It's a very, very numerical process. Obviously, I can't go into the details of what we do because we don't want anybody knowing how we're checking up on them. But what I'll say is it's a very dynamic process. We're constantly upgrading. We're constantly sort of revisiting things in light of the feedback that we get from the systems that tell us, okay, we're seeing an increase in a certain type of behavior there. Let's look into it. We're seeing an increase in customers coming from this type of demographic. Let's look into it. So it's a constantly evolving process. It's enabled by the data, but it's very, very mechanized, frankly. It's nice to meet colleagues and friends and catch up with people that we may have seen for a while, because these days we're all stuck in offices or working from home, so we don't collect in the same way as we used to. So this is nice to do that. Obviously, we sort of share war stories, the good and the bad, and it's nice to have a venue to do that.